Banter fam, happy Saturday to you all. Just wanted to drop a quick stream going on from yesterday's show to update you guys on a couple of trades I'm taking into the markets. We did have a little push in Bitcoin. Bitcoin tried to get back into the 90,000s yesterday. And I want to show you this over here, but still we are struggling to close above this trend line. So still giving me an indication that we should still very much be looking at this possible $84,000 to $80,000 zone. But again, I just want to make sure that we are prepared for both scenarios. I want to speak about my Bitcoin trades that I'm currently placed in right now. I want to speak about a couple of altcoin trades as well as the Bitcoin dominance. Usually into weekly close, which will be tomorrow, we start to get quite a bit of volatility. And now that we're seeing the slowdown is when you want to really prepare for trades. By the time the move starts to happen, you want to be inside of the trade. So I'm bringing you these setups today so we can be prepared for the next move. As you can see, that price is starting to really slow down, which means there is a sharp, fast move coming in either direction. Right now indicating down, but let's speak about it. So guys, happy Saturday to you all. No wasting time. Let's go.
I try and help everyone in my space, and this is what I get. I try and fight the devils, but inside I'm just like 𝗦𝗏𝗡. Welcome to Sheldon Show.
And brand channel, hit the subscribe button and hit the like button, fam. Okay, so let's get straight into the charts. Okay, so guys, yesterday I was in a short, started to play out from the show. I then dropped my stop loss, and then we had this little spike in Bitcoin that basically stopped me out at entry. But I do want to let you guys know that I have now re-entered the short for now, because yesterday was a chance for the markets to show that maybe this little trap and losing this trend was a bit of a trap, right? It was confusing and going to catch the whole market off guard. And there was an attempt, right? And it was so important, this is why sometimes it's so important to let something play out first and then wait for confirmation, right? And we've been speaking about this whole week where we've lost this trend now. What we really need to see is get outside the trend, come back, and that will turn bullish. So we had the opportunity yesterday. We still closed below and we still got the sellout. So for me, this is still very much fake at this point. And I'm still very much looking at building shorts right now. Specifically on Bitcoin. So the same trends I want us to pay attention to is this top trend over here on the 4-hour. Okay, and the bottom trend will be this wick over here. And you could see that we are about 12 hours out from the market starting to accelerate. Now, again, high time frames, things are indicating that Bitcoin should be pushing down. We should be looking at these levels of lower down to the 84 and even possibly down to the 81 and 82. For me, I think the 84 will be a strong level of support. We should get a nice strong bounce. Reasoning is we look at the total 618, right? We look at this 786, right, is over here at 84. So if we lose the 618, which we did bounce at recently at 87,000, the next major supports are at 84. But like I said, we will track this down as it goes. On the weekly, we know that this will be a very important bounce for altcoins and Bitcoin. Right, if we look at this major trend, let's get up this chart over here. This for me is still a play, right? Is a play of from here, getting ready to the areas of into the 100,000s, and then we can possibly turn quite bearish to a big move to the downside. So a higher low here will be nice and bullish, and that's why I'm expecting a possible $84,000-$85,000 bounce. When it comes to the trades, for me, I have shorted in the same area. My entry is back in the zones of around this 89,550 is around the level of me shorting. And I still see this whole zone here being a shorting level. Okay. And the key level of a stop loss will be these zones over here, which is around the 90,500. So in the beginning, it's a little bit less leverage that I'm using because I am running around a percentage of 1% of risk, which means anything you apply leverage to this, you've got to times by that. So for me, it's a little bit slow of around a 10-15x at this point. Stop loss around the 90,500. If you want to be a little bit more aggressive, the 90,200. But the reason why I've left it here is for me, that's invalidation. If price gets back up over there, we could be turning bullish, right? But what I'm waiting for is the drop of this trend over here. This bottom trend. This is where things will really start accelerating. So I've started re-entering the shorts, leaving the stop over here. But when we break this trend, right? Specifically on the 4-hour chart, and we close below, I will be adding aggressively to the position and moving the stop loss down to 89,800. As we start to push down, I will be moving the stops down, right? So again, for me, shorts right now are looking a little bit more juicy than the longs. If I look at the altcoins, I'm not too crazy on shorting a bunch of alts right now. The reason is Bitcoin dominance is actually looking in favor of the altcoins on the midterm right now. Okay, so again, what am I looking for? The easiest way to make money. And again, I'm locking into a little bit of a Bitcoin strategy for a while, but this is clearly showing that even though we are seeing a bit of a bearish Bitcoin, which means Bitcoin might be having a catch-up dump, altcoins are still a little bit stronger, which means when it comes to trading alts, let's say you're short, you can get these crazy wicks that'll be a bit bigger, and you'll end up taking more losses on stop losses if you're incorrect. So what you can do with alts is the same thing. Is you could see that this now is the ETH chart. We had the dump. We are now making a flag. There's the top, there's the bottom. Okay, and you can see we are quite far from both. So if I wanted to possibly short, so let's say an ETH, it would have to be up here with a stop loss over there. And if I'd rather wait it out, this would be the short target over here. Once it's crashed, once it's retest over here. But for me right now, alts, they can play around. But Bitcoin definitely is starting to look a little bit weaker. When it comes to the rest of the alts, as you could see, not really massive short signals at this point. Okay. And again, it's not to say if we bearish on Bitcoin, we're very likely bearish on alts. But because dominance is down, alts could be wicky, right? And you don't want to just get wicked out the whole time. So same thing for alts. It does look like mid-time frame, we are seeing more strength within alts. But until one of these lines break, right, I'm not really interested in trading many of them at all. Same as Solana, right? We had Solana's wick yesterday. There's the wick. We're quite far from support, quite far from resistance. We're kind of sitting in the middle in these areas. So for me, Bitcoin is still very much the trade to be taken. Then again, the plan that I'm looking for here is I'm looking for a short into a long. And that's the big trade that I want to pay attention to, which means I need to track this entire wave down. And that will be the key area of what I'm going to be paying attention for the longs. After that, I do think we are going to hit back into the 100,000s. What I also want to pay attention to a lot next week is taking 1 or 2 trades stock market wise. So remember, BDCC, we do have a gold rush trading challenge at this point. So I'm going to be trading a little bit of gold and just see the difference, right, between some crypto coins and altcoins and gold. So there is a sign up bonus for you guys if you want, link below in the description. I am going to be launching a bunch of spot bots next week. So on Pinex, I'm going to be launching a bunch of bots with no leverage, right? And I want to show you guys the strategy of let's just build some bots for 3-4 years, no liquidation rates, let them accumulate and let them build on the altcoins for us. Links below in the description. And the other one as well that I want to show you guys is Gravity. Remember, every trade you do on Gravity right now, you do get points for an airdrop that is incoming. So I'm going to be trading a lot on Gravity as we are getting closer to the points of the airdrops. Okay, guys, so that is basically the setup. So make sure you got this flag in play. I have started shorting in this area with the stop higher above these zones over here around the $90,500 zone. But the key thing that I'm looking for is the break. So if you want to be nice and conservative, wait for the break. Stop loss will then be nice and tight. Remember to take your percentage where your stop loss will be, and that will calculate a good understanding of how much leverage to take on the position, right? If it's 0.3%, you could easily 10, 20x that and have a 6% risk on the trade, right? So you can do those calculations for yourself. For me, I like to do around 6%, 5, 6, 7% on risk. If I'm very certain on the trade, sometimes I do a 10% risk. But ultimately in this market, right, I would rather start positions and build a little bit later on so that I can have that space and not risk too much money. Number one goal for this year is use these phases to practice less risk, but still being able to make money. But less risk, less risk, less risk. Lose less, lose less, lose less, right? That's ultimately the main goal. Guys, lots of love to you all. Have a great weekend. I'll be back on Monday. And then we'll have a very good next week of trading. Lots of love. Bye-bye.